Burden of Guilt by Carter Brown, 1971. Chapter 1. The sun was edging up over the horizon, and the shadows of the leaves moving in the breeze dappled the white facade of the house with a vaguely psychedelic pattern. Somewhere a bird was singing, and at this hour of the morning, I figured it had to be out of its tiny feathered mind. I walked up onto the front porch and pushed the doorbell. Muted chimes were still playing when the door was suddenly yanked open wide, and a skinny little guy peered up at me, suspiciously, through the thick lens of his rimless glasses. Yes, the word exploded out of him like I had just punched him in the solar plexus. "I'm Lieutenant Wheeler from the sheriff's office." I told him. "Only a lieutenant." He sounded bitterly disappointed. "Is that the best they could do?" "This is Pine City County," I snarled. "And here with a homicide you get me. If you don't like the idea, you can always take your corpse someplace else and start over." "I meant no offense," he said quickly. "But, as I told your desk sergeant when I called in to report the murder, it's vital that everything be handled with absolute discretion. There must be no publicity, no leaks to the newspapers, and the investigation must be successfully concluded in the minimum of time." He blinked myopically, then drew himself up to his full height of maybe an inch over 5 feet. "There are vast issues at stake here, Lieutenant." I stared fixedly over the top of his head for a few seconds, then shrugged. "I don't see them." "Who?" he asked nervously. "The men in the white coats," I grated. "The ones with the big butterfly nets. My guess is they have to catch up with you soon, even if you're Napoleon." He swallowed hard. "Maybe you'd better come inside and meet Mr. Smith." I followed him across the wide hallway into the living room, which looked like a miniature rose bowl. There was a guy sitting in an armchair facing me, smoking a fat cigar. He was somewhere around 50. His massive head was completely bald. Along with the hooded cold gray eyes, it gave him the look of a Caligula-type Roman emperor. A thick terry cloth robe was wrapped tight around his heavy torso and thighs, covering him down to his knees. The bare shins, covered with tufts of black hair, lent a weird note to the overall picture. "This is Lieutenant Wheeler from the sheriff's office," the skinny little guy said. "Lieutenant, this is Mr. Smith." He lowered his voice to a confidential undertone. "Mr. Smith is incognito." Caligula put his cigar down carefully on the edge of an ashtray, then got to his feet. "I imagine you want to see the body first, Lieutenant." "It's customary," I agreed. I followed him out to the wide concrete terrace at the back of the house, then around the side of the pool to where the concrete apron merged with a close-shaven lawn. The body of a girl was partially concealed by a flowering shrub and lay on its side with both legs in a jackknife position. Except for the tattered remnants of a white silk slip bunched up around her waist, she was naked. A veil of long black hair obscured her face, and a nightmare pattern of bruises and welts covered the lower half of her body and upper thighs. I went down on my knees and gently pushed the black hair back, so I could see her face. Her eyeballs protruded grotesquely. The blackened tongue was clenched between her teeth, and swollen purple marks made a horizontal line around her neck. I let the merciful veil of black hair fall back across her face like a shroud, then came back up onto my feet again. "Strangled to death," I said unnecessarily. "Badly beaten before she was killed, and probably also raped," Caligula said in an expressionless voice. "I imagine you have a great number of questions to ask, Lieutenant. And the first is, what's your real name, Mr. Incognito?" I snapped. He smiled briefly. "Tyler means well, but he's just not equipped to handle this kind of a situation, I'm afraid. My name is Gerard Kingsley." His hooded eyes probed my face for a long moment. "The name means nothing to you?" I shrugged. "Should it?" "There's no reason. I was just curious." Over his shoulder, I saw Doc Murphy approaching the pool, complete with little black bag. I suggested that Kingsley go back inside the house, and I would catch up with him later. The two men passed each other at one side of the pool, and I noticed a faint flicker of surprise on the coroner's face as he glanced at Kingsley. "What is it with you, Al?" Murphy growled when he stopped in front of me, digging up a homicide in the middle of the night. "Maybe you haven't noticed," I said politely. "It's another bright day already, with the sun shining, and any time before 9 a.m. is the middle of the night as far as I'm concerned," and he stopped talking abruptly, because right then he got his first look at the body. I smoked a cigarette while he made his examination. That feather-brained bird burst into song again, and the bright sunlight warmed me right through to my bones. It was a good day to be alive, like what's-his-name said, and looking at a corpse was a lousy way to kick off the morning. There was a sharp click as Murphy closed up his little black bag, so I turned around toward him again. "I don't like this one at all." His normally cynical voice was subdued. "She was brutally beaten, then strangled to death, which is all too obvious. And rape, maybe? The autopsy will decide that. She's been dead for at least 4 hours, maybe 5. I checked my watch. That makes it sometime between 1 and 2 this morning." "Like that," he nodded. "I just hope her killer had a good, logical motive." "Why?" "You wouldn't want him to be a maniac, Al," he said softly. "Maybe already planning on doing the same thing to some other girl tonight?" "You're right." My stomach lurched queasily at the thought. "You know something?" For a moment there, I figured that guy who went back inside the house was Gerard Kingsley. Murphy grinned and shook his head slowly. "It's an amazing likeness." "Not so amazing," I told him. "He is Gerard Kingsley, whoever that is." Murphy